Good afternoon, First Presbyterian Church family. I hope this finds you well on the last day of March, ending of the first quarter of the year. If you look at the year that way, and we are moving along here in the Lenten season. We're not Holy Week yet. I want to give two shout outs, commercials. The first is there are some beautiful bluebonnets. Go to Town East Mall. Go that area. Go then to the right, like you're going to Sharing Life. That area, and you go back in there, and there's this big area. There's a road that goes around, and there's a huge traffic. I don't call it a traffic island, but you'd almost put a house lot right there in the middle. It goes around a block, and you could make or two lots these days out of that. Beautiful bluebonnets. Go to my Facebook wall, and you'll see those pictures I took today. Dropped off some of our food at Sharing Life from the 100 Can Challenge, the last of the March offerings, and I just couldn't resist it. I had to take those pictures. I'll try to control myself this bluebonnet season. Number two is the encouragement about all that is happening in worship in April. This past Sunday, we heard the return of the Jubilate Ringers at the 11 a.m. worship service. This Sunday, we'll have our first ever Lent cantata. This is actually from a larger Easter, it's designed as an Easter cantata, but it's an Easter cantata that takes you through the season, so to speak. And so certain pieces were pulled, and it'll be sung this Sunday. They'll be woven into the worship service, as opposed to let's begin the cantata, and they just sing one after the other. It's going to be woven into the service, and they will be at both services. It'll also be a Communion Sunday. April 10th is Palm Sunday, and we will have a procession of the palms again. First time since 2019, so the first time in this decade. And choir will be singing at both services. Following that week, we will have our Maundy Thursday service. It will be in Wilbanks Hall. Maybe a little awkward. We haven't done that one in a while there, but want to proceed with it. And then on that Friday, the Good Friday service, it will take place in the sanctuary. And looking forward to some more participation. The choir will be singing in that one. And, of course, Easter Sunday, the 17th. We will have youth, young people from the Mesquite ISD. I've been in contact and with one of the band directors, and we'll bring a group over, some of his best brass instrumentalists, and they will be presenting at their East. First time we've done this. Again, sometimes we're doing something again after taking a break, and sometimes we're doing things new for the first time. So it may be a little awkward, a little around the details, but around the edges. But I think it's going to be a good thing. We're going to have brass instruments playing at Easter and choir singing at both services. They'll have done 3 services Sundays in a row. So April 24th, they'll be taking a break. That will be Youth Sunday, and we're working on the details for that one. May 1st, Jubilate Ringers return, presenting at both services at this point, if that's the plan. And I will not be here. Jim Witherow will be our guest preacher, and he'll be celebrating communion. Of course, some of our children, if all goes right, they'll be at Kid Quake, and some of the men will be at Mo Ranch and away. I will be at Continuing Education during a 2-week block doing that. But May 8th is Mother's Day, and we will have our confirmation class join the church. May 15th, senior recognition. I'm probably overwhelming y'all right now, but I'll just wrap it up. May 22nd, the service will have that patriotic Memorial Day flavor to it, because I will be away on May 29th. But we'll have a guest preacher. Craig Krieger comes back for that. June 5th is Pentecost, and some specials with that. And then we'll be with the youth on a mission trip on the 12th, and Craig returns. Wow, much covered there. But just mark your calendar. We have a lot of really great special things coming up in worship in the next several Sundays. And one final thing I just want to say is not only do we have the young children and youth can come down front now for the young people's message, we are now beginning to work in folks to present messages. And ruling elder Charles Hammer will be giving the message on this April 3rd. So I'll be up in the pulpit and watching him present. So that'll be really special. All right. We are in the Beatitudes. And today I want to share the fourth one. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. This is the last of the four blessings of grace and faith, or the poor Beatitudes. I've been in the last several weeks, have been in that section. So it's the same theme. We've had people who are lacking in spirit, happiness, power, and now righteousness. In a way, it's commented this shifts more to the doing. These are people who want to see righteousness take place, so much that they do hunger for it and thirst for it. I've never really been really thirsty in these desperate situations. I do remember once being out on a sailboat with my father, and we forgot to bring waters with us. We actually drank some water out of Lake Norman. It's pretty gross when I think about it, but it was good. It was that hot. It was a summer, he wanted to get the boat out and get some practice. It wasn't a race or anything like that. And we actually drank some water, which is pretty bad, actually. But didn't kill us. I'm still here. And he survived. And but that's probably the closest of that situation. I've been in places where after some hard work, I've enjoyed getting the water, but I knew it was coming. Here are folks that they want it, and they don't even know what is coming, but they will be satisfied. Now, again, with Dr. Bruner, that I've been using him in particular with the sermons and with this, and he really goes deep and brings out just so many insights into these scriptures, and I'm just sharing a small piece. But he really emphasizes that there is a sense of reversal, that there is some sense that there will be satisfaction, but also it won't always happen here. And there's that tension about what we realize in this, either in our present or near present, or close future. It's not that far away. What we might see later in life, and will only be realized in the final ages. That there is tension there. But this reminds us of the need to be involved of acts, works that could be considered righteousness, and that's a whole other discussion there. And you could really go down many angles with this, and what it meant then and how that means for us now. And I don't want to get sidetracked. The point is that there is an ethical command in Matthew's gospel. We're saved by faith alone, through Christ alone. There's no work that we can do to earn favor. And by our works, we have sinned. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. It's not like, well, I did this righteous act and that cancels out 10 demerits. And that's where I can get a little antsy in some sections like this because of that kind of legalism that I can see it go. So like when you're bringing your cans for sharing life, you're not earning points with God. And sometimes personally, I think that it can come across that way in terms of our acts of mercy and things that we do. So that's why, but there is an ethical command, and Matthew tends to bring that out more. There is grace, but there's also an ethical response, and this is something for us to ponder. For those that are at that place where you don't have it, God's all you got. For the people there, the Lord hears their call. This is what Jesus is telling us, and that's these days how the Holy Spirit equips us, and how we can respond to those. Something just to think about right there. Today, I want to conclude with a hymn, In the Cross of Christ I Glory. And again, I pulled this one out of the blue hymnal. You kind of heard me going on about that the other week. The hymnal previous to the one that we currently have, but came after the red hymnal, 2 hymnals down, kind of like the idea of every 20 years you get a new hymnal. So blue, about 20 years later there was bad blue, then 20 years later there was the pretty good blue, and now you've got the one we currently have. Okay, So that the one from the early 90s, very early 90s, late 80s. They had them organized by the seasons, and I liked that. In the cross of Christ I glory, towering o'er the wrecks of time. All the light of sacred story gathers round its head sublime. When the woes of life o'ertake me, hopes deceive and fears annoy, never shall the cross forsake me, lo, it glows with peace and joy. When the sun of bliss is beaming, light and love upon my way, from the cross the radiance streaming adds more luster to the day. Bane and blessing, pain and pleasure, by the cross are sanctified. Peace is there that knows no measure, joys that through all time abide. Thoughts for us to reflect. Next week we'll have our following. We'll get into the next section of the Beatitudes. Continuing on through, the following week will be a Holy Week reflection. And then one will be in the Easter season. Easter actually begins the Easter season, which continues into Pentecost. And we'll have some reflections from Matthew then. And then I'll begin a new series. And I'll actually probably record a few in advance, so you'll be getting them while I'm away. Enough details. Enjoy the day. Go find some bluebonnets and enjoy. Take care.